absolutely awesome. I felt like you were all right here in the sanctuary with me. It was wonderful. Thank you so much. We really appreciate all of the effort and all of the beautiful voices. Now we come to the matter at hand. You know, right now on the news and all over, we hear phrases like, "We'll let you know as soon as we have it figured out," or "Our school's going to open. We're trying to figure it out." And we ourselves are trying to figure things out all the time, every day, multiple times a day. So we would like to present some ideas to you. And our first speaker on this is Deb. Debbie, are you ready?
So, how do we figure things out? Well, I'll tell you, I can speak from experience. Some people are better at this than others. We all have different ways of figuring things out. But, you know, when I was a kid, my family spent probably hours and hours trying to teach me how to tie my shoes. So I was trying to figure it out by watching them, you know, and they would explain about looping around and then pulling it through. Well, I couldn't get it. I just could not get it until finally I was wearing buckle shoes up until about third grade, and they no longer fit me. And then I had to go to tie shoes. So at that point, somehow I figured it out. Now, there are other ways of figuring things out. You know, you can ask a friend, a family member, a neighbor, depending on what you're doing. You can, when in doubt, read the directions. Nowadays, you can look on the web, and when you look on the web, there are YouTubes. You can figure almost anything out if you have that sort of aptitude of learning visually. You can do it that way. But again, some people learn easily and some people learn in different ways. Now, I've got to show you a little visual here, and I'm just hoping I can get this. Okay, we have this box. It's just a regular, you know, your average shipping box. It can be used for a lot of other things too. So a lot of times we go to store things in boxes, and then we want to close them up. Okay, so I'm going to close up this box. That's how I get my box closed. Something wrong here? This is supposed to be funny. It's okay to laugh. If I try to close a box intuitively, that's what I get. I get this box that doesn't really close. So I had to practice. I went 35, 40 years of my life not being able to close boxes. I'd have to do it over and over and come out different ways, and like, how does this box close? I can't get it closed. Finally, at one point, I read a simple way to close a box. You put one flap down, then the next flap, then the next flap, and the next flap, and then you tuck it in. And now we have a closed box. This was life-changing for me, to be able to figure out how to close a box. It was something. Now, boxes are great, and besides packing things in them, you know, they're especially wonderful if you have cats, because a cat in the box is a classic pairing. And so that's just a way to show how for some people you learn differently. You figure things out differently. And I'm so glad I can close a box now. I also have the same problem with braiding hair and making pretzels. I just can't do it. Can't do it. I just have this spatial thing that I can't do it. But there are other things I'm better at figuring out. One of them that we've had a lot of experience with, we all have in the past few months, is Zoom. I started learning about Zoom, probably a couple years ago. Melon got me to gradually start learning. We'd set up little small meetings for just the two of us. Then we set up links for people to join the board and so on. And I took some webinars. Then, I was learning to be a host as well as to use it as as a participant. So then we got into this pandemic situation and we really needed Zoom. And I was so glad I had that experience of figuring it out by watching, getting tips from other people, and practicing. And I'm still practicing and still learning about Zoom. So anyone who doesn't have it down pat, don't feel bad. It's complicated. There are a lot of layers to it. The basic layer you can get, but you have to keep working at it. And that's a combination of reading, listening, watching, practicing. And that's how I figure things out. And so I think Tina is next.
This next part of our reflection today, can you hear me? Okay. Is the emotional, psychological aspect of how we make decisions. How do we figure things out when we are making our decisions? Decisions are an integral component of our daily lives. We make hundreds of decisions, large and small, every day. Sometimes they are made with much thought and reasoning, and sometimes they're made impulsively and with no apparent reason. There is always a reason. We just may not always know why we do what we do. In an article in Psychology Today, Michael Levine in The Divided Brain wrote, "Though these choices may seem insignificant, they are actually adding up over time to equal our destinies." Most of us want to figure out and understand ourselves and others in order to better get through life. Also from Psychology Today, but not by Michael Levine, comes this. When making a decision, we form opinions and choose actions through mental processes which are influenced by biases, reason, emotion, and memories. The simple act of deciding supports the notion that we have free will. We weigh the benefits and costs of our choices, and then we cope with consequences. And, in fact, even with what we believe are logical decisions, the very point of choice is arguably always based on emotion. We talk about decisions that feel or seem right. Emotions are perhaps signals that from the subconscious that tell us a lot about what we really choose. Have you ever wondered why you do or don't do a certain thing? Maybe you have a fear of water, large pools of water. Perhaps your fear of swimming or being in water comes from having almost drowned as an infant or a young child. Or maybe you love, love, love black cats. And in your adulthood, you read in your baby book that your first toy was a stuffed black kitty. True story of mine. If decisions, choices, or actions seem incomprehensible to you, you can explore your motives. In psychology, there's a technique you can use to do this. Let's say a person who is an alcoholic wants to stop drinking. She goes to a therapist who may give her an assignment, which is to list the steps she took before taking the first drink of a particular incident. It may go something like this. What did you do before you took the first drink? I got the glass and the bottle from the cupboard. What did you do before that? I got mad at my mother. What happened before that? She was yelling at me because of my boyfriend. And before that, my boyfriend broke up with me over the phone. This is a simplified version of this technique, but you see what I mean, I hope. At this point, the therapist may review what the person could have done differently at each stage of this experience. We make unconscious decisions one after another. If we can begin to understand why we do what we do, we can put other steps or things in place to have a different, hopefully better outcome in order to get through life with more self-awareness. And now, Joanne, you're on.
Thank you, Tina. That was very helpful. And it is so important for us to be able to understand ourselves so that we can figure things out. So thank you so much. But before we go on about figuring things out, we have another musical treat from Julaine. And Julaine is going to sing for us A Leap of Faith. Do you recall, perhaps as a child, looking up at night at the stars and the moon and your mind being full of questions? What is all that? What are those stars? What are the planets? How far does it go? How big is the universe? What's eternity? What's infinity? These are questions that we have asked ourselves and been trying to figure out for millenniums. What about death? And is there an afterlife? And what about God? Well, since prehistoric and ancient times, man has been searching for answers to these questions. There are religions, or many different religions. Our philosophers, the ancient ones and the modern ones, our scientists search for these answers. But somehow we don't seem to really have them. The answers are not clear. And it seems when we do answer something, like what are those stars, maybe scientists can help us with that, but the answers often just lead to more questions. And so it goes on and on and on. Well, maybe we're not really equipped to know that. I've been thinking a lot about our brains. If we had the capability of fathoming something like eternity, infinity, we would have figured it all out by now. But I think we're just not capable of doing that because we were not created that way. And there's probably a good reason for that. Like, let's for a moment say we believe that there's such a thing as reincarnation. And suppose your brain knew that and could figure that out. So now you come to Earth and start a new life. Only you realize that your mother used to be your husband in your past life. Wouldn't that kind of mess it up a little? Because, you know, you have certain roles to play now, and knowing all of these other things might make it rather difficult to do that. And so I think we're just, you know, we're just not made to do that. It would be like my dog. He's beautiful, he's wonderful, he's a smart dog, but he has a dog's brain. So if I put my complete works of Shakespeare in front of him and said, go ahead and read that, I don't think he'd quite be able to handle it because his brain is not made for that. And so I've come to the conclusion in my ripe old age to relax about it. Because somewhere deep inside, we know. We don't know that on a conscious level right now, but somehow we know. And when the time comes, it will open up and we will understand. But right now, our job is to live the life that we have. So let's just relax. Just relax about it and take a leap of faith that it's all okay, that it's good and it's okay. And when the time comes for us to be there and be capable of understanding these things, we will. But that's not our job right now. Let me just share this little piece of writing from Sharon Draper in a book called Out of My Mind. She wrote, maybe I'm not so different from everyone else after all. It's like somebody gave me a puzzle, but I don't have the box with the picture on it. So I don't know what the final thing is supposed to look like. I'm not even sure if I have all the pieces. So we're just not going to worry ourselves about all of that. But what we do know, what we absolutely do know, is that we are here now. We are human beings now on this planet Earth, and we have a life to live. That's what we can be sure of. Unfortunately, when you come into this earth, when you're born, nobody hands you a manual or an owner's manual or instructions. And people worry a lot about being on their path. We see that often in religions and in beliefs. God's plan for you. What's God's will? Are you following God's plan for you? And I have met many people who take that very, very seriously and get very, very depressed about it. They fret and agonize over it, trying to find the purpose of their lives, their mission and the path that they should be following. So they go from day to day feeling like they're failing somehow. I'm a loser, I'm no good at anything, my life is useless. And I find that very, very sad to think that way. You know, it'd be nice if we could follow the yellow brick road and little munchkins would, you know, dance and sing along the way with us, and we'd make a few friends to accompany us, and a good fairy to guide us. That would be very nice. And eventually we would get to where the wizard is with all the answers. But there is no yellow brick road to follow. So our religions, or I would say people believe, many believe deeply that there's a preordained path for us to follow. And unfortunately, many religions believe that too. In fact, some claim to have the answers to the meaning of life and our purpose. And if you follow the doctrines of that religion, you'll be saved. And if not, you're doomed. Your path is God's will, and each religion has their own version of what that is. Some people, it seems, discover what their path is and follow it and their purpose. And they are so lucky they end up getting the Pulitzer Prize or becoming a renowned hero, a writer of great books, a painter of great paintings, a composer of great music, an inventor, a scientist, a prophet, a healer. But we all don't go that way. Many people can follow their intuition. We can all follow our intuition. We just need to listen to it, to recognize it. There isn't a this way or a that way, a right way or a wrong way. Oh, I said that wrong. There's not a right way and a wrong way. There's only this way or that way. And you make those choices all the time. We are the creators of our own life. That is basically what our purpose is. Bear with me a moment. So I think it's something like this. We come into this world and we are who we are. We have a whole set of characteristics, a whole set of qualities that are uniquely ours. They make us a unique individual. And we don't always know what these qualities, talents, gifts are. Some could be obvious right from birth, but others will emerge as we go through life, as we get older. And sometimes even later in life, we're surprised to discover some talent we didn't know was there. And it's easy to get stuck in believing that what you do is who you are, because that is not true. You may be a teacher, and teaching is what you do, but it's not who you are. You were given the qualities to be able to do that, but the teacher is not who you are. You could be a nurse, and nursing is what you do, but it's not who you are. So we have to look for who we are to figure things out in that way. I think if we believe that we have a path that we are supposed to be following, and then something happens and we're all messed up and we think, oh, I don't know what my path is and so forth, that it's not quite that complicated. I think we're always on our path, whatever that is. And if you think of it as a friendship bracelet, you know those bracelets that are woven together with threads of different colors? Well, if you take that bracelet and you stretch it out on the table, it makes one straight line, and think of that as your path. But you are going on this path a step at a time. So you may have started off on the red thread and are going that way, and then suddenly it stops. And you're all like, oh, I'm not on my path anymore. What am I going to do? And those things happen by nature too, because sometimes it's time for something to end. So that part of your path may end because it's time for that to end. It may have served its purpose. You may have grown all you're going to grow going on that one. But it doesn't mean you're not on your path. Just move over to the yellow thread. Follow that one for a while. When that isn't working for you, or it's time for a change or something different, or it served its purpose, go to the next one. But in the end, you will get there. You will get there because it's all connected and it's all one. When we are taking a trip with our GPS, and this is why I really don't like GPSs in a way, the GPS will show you one little section of the trip that you're on. You just see a little piece of where you're going, but it doesn't show you the whole big map, the overall picture of the route that you're taking. For that, you have your paper map that you spread out on your table at home and check that out. But when you're driving, you just get a little bit at a time. And life is like that. it goes one little step at a time. We might not see the overall picture, but have faith that we're going to get there. Just one little step at a time. The real purpose of life is life itself. To live it, to experience it, to get the most out of it, to give the most to it, to have a zest for life. There is a writing here from Harry Emerson Fosdick. I'd like to share this with you. Nothing else matters, not wealth, nor learning, nor even health, without this gift, the spiritual capacity to keep zest in living. This is the creed of creeds, the final deposit and distillation of all man's important faiths, that he should be able to believe in life. So, when you're down and thinking you're not being useful, there's no purpose, take a look at yourself. What is there that you can be excited about? What makes you happy? Go for it. Because when you are doing that, and you are dipping into yourself, your own qualities, your own happiness, your own bliss, your zest for life, things will start to happen, kind of magically, I think, but it's really true. And I think the best description of that is this one from Joseph Campbell. Follow your bliss. If you do follow your bliss, you put yourself on a kind of track that has been there all the while waiting for you. And the life you ought to be living is the one you are living. When you can see that, you begin to meet people who are in the field of your bliss, and they open the doors for you. I say, follow your bliss and don't be afraid, and doors will open where you didn't know there were going to be. If you follow your bliss, doors will open for you that wouldn't have opened for anyone else. And this is so true. Those words were from Joseph Campbell. So thank you for listening. I hope that that helps you all to figure things out just a little bit better. We had some fun with doing this service because to begin with, we had to figure out how to figure it out. So we practiced a lot of that and putting this together, but it was a lot of fun working with everyone. And now get out those percussion instruments. Are we ready, Jelaine? Whoa,
We're
yeah.
ready. We're
Okay.
ready, and Ed's gonna shake the pepper shakers here with me.
Oh, great. Go for it.
Thank you. That was so fun. That was great. Thank you to the whole team who put this wonderful service together. Wow, what a group. And our first virtual choir. Thank you, Jelaine and Joanne and Rita and Deb and Tina and everybody. That was wonderful. I heartily agree with what you said, Joanne. Yeah, following our bliss, the real purpose of life itself. Absolutely. And we have just a couple more. Did you want to say something, Tony?
Yes, I just wanted to personally thank all of you guys. It was wonderful. There was so much wisdom packed in 1 hour. It just was overwhelming. Thank you so much. That's all.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you,
Becky
Tony.
is going to ring the bell for us. Oh, you're going to do the, she's going to do the candle first. There she is right behind me. Okay. Where's the elbow? Oh, there it is.